I'm Felix Papier. I'm the Dean of Pre-Experience Programs and the Director of the Master in Management program at the ESSEC Business School in France, in our Paris campus, but then also in Singapore and in Rabat in Morocco. Students can choose to start the program on our campus in France near Paris or on our campus in Singapore. And then as soon as they are in the program, they can move around to different campuses, also including Rabat and Morocco. No, the program cost is the same between the different campuses. So for the next intake in 2022, the tuition fees for students for EU nationals are 37,200 euros over the 2-year duration of the program. And for non-EU nationals, it is 43,000. We recommend, or we suggest, or we said that probably an average living costs per month around 1,000 euros for our Paris campus, and similar in Singapore. But then again, that depends very much on the lifestyle. So, for example, one decision is whether you stay close to our campus here, around 40 minutes outside Paris, or whether you want to stay in the city center of Paris. And then, of course, questions around your lifestyle. If you go out frequently, if you spend money on other things that go beyond the normal spending of a student, of course. But I think 1,000 euros is actually a good average. There are students who spend less money than that because they're very careful, and there are students who probably spend more money than that. Well, we have a variety of different financing situations. So maybe the majority of students self-finance the tuition fees and the living expenses. A majority of students, I think, taking a loan when they come to ESSEC. We have also different options with local banks to easily get a loan for the tuition fees and living expenses. Then we do have also scholarships. So based on academic merit, students can receive a scholarship for part or even very large part of the tuition fees. So that's communicated directly with the admission decision. There are also different types of government-sponsored scholarships, either from the country the student is from or from the French government. And then finally, and that is probably a little bit specific to ESSEC, we have the apprenticeship contract, or the possibility for a student, for an MIM student, to do an apprenticeship. And so apprenticeship means that for a duration of 2 years, you are working in a company for around 40% of your time, and then 60% of your time you are here at ESSEC. So it can be, for example, on a weekly rhythm, so that Monday and Tuesday you work in a company, and then from Wednesday to Friday you are at ESSEC. Or it can be that you work for a couple of weeks in the company, and then a couple of weeks come here to the courses at ESSEC. And if you are in an apprenticeship, and there's a French law that governs that, then the company has to pay your tuition fees, and you as a student also receive a salary. And we have today around 25% of each class of the MIM program of apprentices. That's really something that students do use a lot. There's not only the financial side, there's also the possibility to discover the company, to create a professional network in the sector the company is in. And our apprentices are in a very large variety of different companies. That starts from top consulting companies like Boston Consulting Group, IBM and Google, but also in ministries, other public sector functions, health industry. Students really have the choice on the different sectors they would like to do an apprenticeship. No. There are, in particular, the international students who are interested in an apprenticeship. It is open to every student, so there's no constraint on that. There might be some constraints as that some international students have to have stayed already for a couple of months in France, so maybe they can start the apprenticeship only in the 2nd or 3rd trimester of the program. But apart from these things where we can really consult every single student on the specific situation, there are no constraints, and in particular, international students are doing apprenticeships. Of course, as it is probably the case with many other business schools as well, our largest sectors where our graduates work in are consulting and finance industry. So they together make around 50 to 60% of the jobs where our graduates start working after graduation. But then also we do have a lot of graduates working in the IT and digital industries, in the health and pharmaceutical laboratories in particular. We have a very large alumni base there. In luxury industry, so we do have a lot of students in the master management program, probably also because we have the industry chair. We have two industry chairs related to luxury and a lot of expertise in that sector. So we also have a significant part of our graduates working in that sector. And we have more and more entrepreneurs who actually start their company. So the ESSEC incubator that is open for our students has created more than 400 companies in the last years, and many survive more than 5 years after graduation of the students, and then become much larger and more visible in their sector. That's another specificity of the ESSEC Master Management program. It is a very flexible program. So that means that students can and have to design their own curriculum through the program. And that, on the one hand side, means that as a student, you can choose at which time you do at what time you do an internship, at what time you take certain courses, and how you design the curriculum. But it also means that you can choose your specializations. And with respect to your question, actually choosing the luxury track or choosing the finance track, you do from within the master management program. So you first apply and become a student of the master management program. And then we have more than 50 different specializations. And in most cases, you can even combine 2 different specializations. And that is something that allows a student to first come into the program, probably find out a little bit, do a first internship in then one sector, also start a specialization. So that is also possible, and it is a consequence of the flexibility of the program. Start a specialization, but then probably realize that this is not made for you and that you would like to change. Then you can change to another specialization. So we do have students who come into the master management program, think that they're interested in, let's say, corporate finance, and suddenly realize that no, they want to do something else, become a social entrepreneur, do the social entrepreneurship track, or become a digital marketing expert in Singapore, and then go to that. And that's part of our value proposition, that you do have a lot of time and a lot of flexibility to try out things and to really define your career project, and to have the right to try and error in some sense, to start the specialization, but then go another way if you think that this is more important to you. And that's also something which is specific to the ESSEC MIM and to the fact that the program is very flexible. There are several ways that are very much used by our graduates. So first of all, we do accompany, of course, our students by our career services team that organizes the different recruiting events, either our recruitment fairs, but then also specific events, for example, for top employer company that comes for one day to our campus and then has different talks to get in contact with the students. They also accompany students in setting up their CV and learning how to present themselves in a job interview, etc. So that is done by our career services. And then a second service that is available for our students are our alumni network. And as an ESSEC student, from the first day when you join the school, you become a member of ESSEC Alumni, so our alumni organization. And we do have an alumni office on our campus. And this alumni office is there to consult students on how to find internship, how to find a job then later on, to put students in contact. It also proposes a mentoring program where every MIM student, based on career interests, can be mentored by an ESSEC alumni who's working in that specific sector or domain the student is interested in. So these are 2 ways to accompany our students. And then how do students find the job? So one of the main ways to find the jobs through the networking, through the alumni network and the different company events that we propose, but not only. The ESSEC pedagogical model is also very strongly based on learning by doing. So for example, as I've mentioned, the apprenticeship program. Many of our students who do an apprenticeship then get a job offer from the company where they have done their apprenticeship. We do have at ESSEC, and that's probably also specific to the ESSEC Master Management Program, within the specializations that I have mentioned, many of them are organized as industry chairs. And so that means that around a certain topic, so for example, our luxury brand management chair, it is proposed by ESSEC and the LVMH group. And so that means that the program is co-hosted and co-organized between a faculty member at ESSEC and executives from the company. And so there's a lot of interaction between the students and the sponsoring companies, and that is also a major way for our students to find their job. They definitely have access to all of the alumni services and to the alumni network, and they are members of the ESSEC alumni organization. Now, students who come on the first day are not graduates, so that we cannot say graduate you become when you've fulfilled all the requirements for graduation, of course. But no, students are part of the ESSEC alumni organization, so they are members, as graduates are members of the ESSEC alumni organization. And in that respect, they have access to the alumni directory, to the networking events, to the office that we have on campus to accompany students. When they go on internship abroad, then they can participate in the events of the alumni chapter in that city. So more than 50 different cities internationally, we have alumni chapters of alumni who regularly meet or do social events. And as a student, if you were an internship there, or if you happen to be there for other reasons, you can participate in that because you are a member of ESSEC alumni from the first day you come to school. The average salary right after graduation, so for the first jobs that our graduates begin, is around 55,000 euros. And then after 3 years after graduation, that increases to 93,000 euros. Then, of course, it depends on the sector. So some sectors and some functions typically lead to higher salaries than some others. Also, that we see that our graduates who start their first job outside France, especially in the UK or in the United States, tend to have higher salaries. I think the average salary for those who work abroad is around between 63 and 65,000 euros.